Hi everyone and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about bike fit and especially the priorities for the bike fit that to me are extremely important to find both your best power and the best comfort on the bike. And to do so I invested heavily in a new anthropomorphic device that is going to help me explaining some of the theories I believe they work on the bike. So there he is. Yes, the best bike fitters have skeleton in their closet and well, I couldn't afford a skeleton, but still my friend here is going to show some of the positions that I think they work best on the bike and some that don't. Here we might have a reach problem. We'll sort it out later. And today I'm modeling a new SRX Pro jersey from Sirocco. This is the stage model. Maybe the guys at Sirocco thought I was being a bit boring in a full black outfit, so they sent me this new one, which a beautiful greenish color, and a new SRX bib short, the Pro Elite, with a bit of a wider band on the leg with the Sirocco logo. So very nice. With the new collaboration, check the link in my description. You can get 10% discount on top of the advertised price on the Sirocco website. If they are already discounted, you get another 10%. I'll go a small kickback and I hope you'll be happy with the kit that you are getting. Let me know your feedback in a comment. Things I forgot to mention is the SRX bib shorts. They do have a meaty elastic band interface, so the pad as well is made in Italy. My fellow countrymen, they usually do good stuff. I really do like bike fitting. I want to be the best as I can on the bike. When I moved to the UK, I came across this wording where they say you can't teach an old dog's new tricks, which I always hated because, you know, I was trying to say, no, it's not true, it's not true. The fact that it is true, as in, if you feel old, and you can feel old at any age, you're not open to learn or change, and maybe your progress is not going forward enough. So, however, if you do feel open to learn new things and better yourself and improve, then there's always time to change and get the most of it. Something that I always loved is the last hour of Socrates, the Greek philosopher. He was sentenced to death, and just where they were preparing his poison, he was learning a new melody on the flute. And just because he was really happy to learn new stuff, even close to death. So it's a very powerful message, and yes, I always want to improve in, of course, my small world. I started looking into bike fit a lot. I watch possibly every single video with Francis Cade and Bike Fit James on their Bike Fit Tuesday series. They are really great information. They are fantastic videos, very entertaining, and at the same time gave me a lot of information about bike fitting. Also, Cam Nichols, he does have a series with another fantastic bike fitter, Neil Stanbury, and very useful advice. What I want to do today is, of course, condense that information and put that in priority. So what I think should be your main concern starting with a new bike fit, or if you want to improve your bike fit, and the very first item you need to look at, in my opinion, are the cleats. Yes, cleat position to me is essential to have a strong pedal stroke, generate enough power to move you forward and have the best comfort at the same time on the bike. And I really endorse the rear cleat position on the shoe. Now, I do believe that this should not be left to choice. I think this is almost mandatory to have the very best power, and I'll try to show you why. I put on this shoe the metatarsal line from the bunion here, the first big toe metatarsal to the fifth here. So that's kind of the line of my foot, and it's very important where the pedal axle cross this line. I do believe that the best power is where your axle is close to the fifth metatarsal or even slightly behind. This is what it looks like when the foot is engaged. Now you can see exactly where the axle is comparing to my foot. This is because at the same time, in this position, you have to have a complete lock of your ankle and the isometric work on both the tibialis and the calf. So if you remove your shoe and you imagine on a step to try to lift yourself, if you pull your foot slightly forward, you will have a much stronger position to feel the engagement on both the anterior tibialis and the calf muscle to lock the ankle and push hard with the most power. If you do have, say in comparison, your cleat too far forward, it's going to look like you have the foot like there, you overuse your calf, you put the finger toes grabbing the front of the shoe, and you lose a lot of power. That's why, to me, putting the cleats forward will give you a pointed toe, like a ballet, that is highly inefficient to put the force down from the strong quads muscle. Imagine squatting in a tiptoe position. You definitely won't be able to lift any weight. If you do, however, squat with a locked ankle with the full isometric force of your lower leg muscle, then you will be able to exert a lot more power. And we can also see here on the shoe, looking at where the cleat is in comparison to the metatarsal line, you can see that the shoes are also slightly cambered, like if they were weightlifting shoe, to put you already in the position slightly forward to exert the power. So your foot is pointing down, not because of the actual pointing down of the foot, but because you are slightly rotated to exert more force going down. So from here you will start in the strongest section with the quads pushing down with the locked ankle, and from here you do use your hamstring to close the second half of the movement. That is where, for this bottom part, the next very important part of it is the saddle high. I've done an entire video on the saddle high, and to me, apart from the cleats position, is the second most important generator of your power. If we are sitting too high, we will reach full extension here, and our hamstring won't have enough power to help us in this part of the movement from 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. because in this movement is the recruitment of your hamstring that will help the bottom part of the pedal stroke. From here we don't pull up. I do agree that there's no pull-up motion here because this movement here is helped by the other pedal that are doing the same thing that we are going to do again. I do have a video dedicated on the saddle high adjustment to get the best power, highly recommended for you to watch. But I want to give you an idea and a sort of exercise on how to link this ankle lock I described for the cleat position to the feeling of when you reach the best saddle high position. And my advice is to go on a gradient, not the steepest of the hill, but something that will allow you to step on the pedals And when you are out of the saddle, you will try to feel the lock position, that very strong power position where you put your full weight on the pedal. Then you sit down again to try to see if the same feeling more or less is retained when you sit back down. The transition exercise between standing up on the pedals and coming back on the saddle, to me, is extremely important. First of all, to give you the correct feeling when you put down the full weight on the pedal, to make sure that your cleats are far behind back, to give you the full pressure on the sole of the foot. And at the same time, when you come back on the saddle, you don't want to lose that kind of pressure feeling on your pedal stroke, because if you are coming back on the saddle and you end up then pointing down too much to reach the bottom of the stroke, definitely it means that you are too high on the saddle and you're losing a lot of power when cycling sitting down. And the last element I want to touch is, of course, connected with the whole position on the bike, is of course the height of your handlebars and the relative aggressive or less aggressive position on the bike. A lot of bike fitters tend to suggest to customers to buy endurance bike and adopt a slightly less aggressive position and not copy the professionals, where you see them on their bikes with a lot of difference between the saddle and the handlebars. And I'm not actually happy about that, because if I want to decide to be aggressive on the bike, I believe that you can be relatively comfortable as long as the whole position is consistent with all the adjustment together on the bike. While if you are, yes, a bit more upright, everything else needs to be adjusted accordingly. Because to me, the main important thing is not really where you end up in terms of aggressive or less aggressive position. To me, is relevant if you are keeping your body in the correct position. So if you are more aggressive, as long as you're not having a bad angle on the lower back, or your neck is not strained up to reach out and look forward, you should be able, even in a more aggressive position, to be comfortable on the bike. Naturally, if you are moving forward, then your hands will be lower, your sitting position will be forward, and in proportion your knees will go past the axle of the pedal. The importance is to maintain the body position consistent and not alter just one measurement against the other. Say for example you bought an endurance bike, so you are relatively more upright, then having a longer stem will force you in a lower position in the front, where the lower part of the body is not actually adjusted accordingly. So if you do have your seat set back slightly backwards, your knee is on top of the pedal spindle, then if you just change the front of the bike to be lower and not adjusting everything else, then I suspect you'll be uncomfortable, because it's like closing down the top part of the body without adjusting the bottom half. So in this case, if you wish to go lower in the front, you will need then to move slightly forward, then you will be more comfortable in the position because your pelvis will be rotated, the angle of the back is not too stressed out, and you will be able to reach a more aggressive position without major discomfort. So that's why I ride on my Ultimate a forward position on my saddle, so the setback is slightly forward, there's no setback on the seat post, a 12 centimeter stem that puts me slightly forward altogether, and I also lowered the stack, and it's the possibly the best thing I've done to my position. Much easier to ride, especially when headwind is on. A lot more penetration in the air, and at the same time your legs will be working in an easier way. It will be easier for you to penetrate against the wind. So in this case, is the slammed stem wrong? No, because it is consistent with the whole position that is more aggressive. And of course, to do so, you do have to have a saddle that allows a forward rotation of the pelvis and not squish your perineum where you rotate forward. Because most of the time, the bad position also happens where you have a saddle that does not permit the movement of the pelvis forward, so your pelvis stays upright because you feel pain rotating forward. Then if you do have a low position on your handlebar, you end up curving too much, and to look forward your neck is going to be sprained this way. This is because your saddle is not correct. It hurts if you rotate the pelvis forward, you naturally rotate the pelvis backward, and this is the wrong position that you will end up with. If the saddle correctly allows you to rotate your pelvis forward, then you will be having a more efficient angle on the back, your neck will not be strained, and you will reach a lower handlebar position in a much better way. Guys, as you know, I really love talking about bike fit. I might talk too much actually, but the improvement you get on the bike is really unbelievable. Every single adjustment I made me go faster, and I'll be 50 this year. Sometimes I find myself, pardon the arrogance, but I find myself on the top of the segment on the day. I do have a couple of segments where I was on top the whole year, and I even got a KOM in London, which is quite unusual for my age, I would say. So again, it might be my bloated ego talking, but I believe really that this adjustment have made my power transition very efficient on the bike. Sometimes I do follow other cyclists. Now I try to look at them. The majority of cyclists I see around, they are in a good position. Some I can see that sometimes the cleats are quite far forward, the point down the toe, and yes, it's not efficient. I might be stressing the concept a bit too far, pardon my arrogance again, but I hope really that this small suggestion might be useful for you. If you have had a similar experience, let me know. If you do have any feedback or any comment, I'll be really happy to listen to you. Thank you again for watching, guys. I'll see you to the next video. Ciao.